have some serious talk. I got to talk to your stepmom. And meanwhile, I've had stepbrothers that had lived with them in the past, and I don't know what they were put through or what questions they were having. But he's like, we got to, there's no drinking in this, like he didn't even take the time to understand the things that I had been through or the things I was going through. He doesn't have a clue, and he just wants to come around for the good times, and obviously when I almost died, he came around, but those definitely were good times, and it just felt forced, and it just was like, dude, you don't even know me, man, and
yeah, but you've grown so much, and you're your own man. You've done that, and with the help of your mother raising you and your stepdad, be proud of that.
Yeah, I'm grateful. Very, very grateful. Because there was another situation today where the guy's his parents were the old school, like, well, just don't drink then. Mm-hmm. And that tough love and, well, we're going to show you that you can't live in this house. Instead of understanding, where that person's coming from and what's really going on. And it's hard to open up to just anybody. Yeah. You're not just going to go up to somebody and be like, blah. Well, I mean, I do, mm-hmm. But not a lot of people do. And, to get deep down with it, it's hard. And, to talk to a parent or a loved one and when they're like, well, just quit drinking, and you want it so bad to say, I can't, and I don't understand why I can't. Like, I want to do this. I just feel this way. And if somebody comes with a different approach, that's why I think it's so important to have a therapist or at least somebody, a friend, somebody, a sponsor that you can talk to and just be real with them and say, look, this is how I feel today. This is what's going on. And, have them understand. And, maybe you can have a talk with somebody who is giving you the whole, well, just don't drink or just, blah, blah, blah. And just say, look, you want me to break it down for you? Because this is my life and I don't know. I'm spinning out of control. Like I don't know where I'm going. It's so out of control. But this isn't what I want. And mm-hmm. if you could sit down maybe and just kind of open their eyes, make them listen to this podcast over and over, lock them in the basement.
It's totally it. It's those people that say that just don't drink or just stop or moderate or they have all kinds of advice. They have no idea. They really don't. And I would say the majority of the people that say those things, they really want to understand. I mean, it's just they don't, and they can't. They won't. I mean, an alcoholic, if you're not an alcoholic or an addict and experienced, going through what we've gone through and the feelings and the urges and the overwhelming obsession, you'll never really truly know mm-hmm. what we feel and what you're talking about. So those people, I mean, maybe their heart's in the right place for the most part, I mean, I think a lot of those people, they say it because they really want to know and they really think that it makes sense to just say those words. Like, why don't you just stop? And you're like, I could go into a big, long thing right now about why it doesn't work like that.
And it's not like they're bad people.
Right,
it's just
exactly.
That's what they know.
Yeah.
It's like... Sometimes I'll compare it to, well, you got the guy who, writes the program and is for like designing an airplane, and then you got the guy who's actually putting it together. Like, which guy are you going to listen to when they're like, hey, we need to fix this part? Right. I'm going to say the guy who's actually putting his hands on it and who's put together the airplane many times. Mm-hmm. Sure, the guy that built the plane, yeah, sure, he designed it and everything, and that's cool, but he doesn't have the firsthand knowledge of, oh, that part really kind of doesn't work there, or maybe we do have to bang this a little bit or tweak this or whatever. I mean, we're coming with the airplane. It's probably pretty spot on, but that's a bad analogy. I should probably
no. It's really not. I mean, it's the same thing as I feel like it's to find a therapist or a counselor. I think that's why there's a big focus and a big push for these peer recovery coaches now, because. There's people that you can read all the books in the world about addiction, that you want, and all different modalities and different, therapeutic approaches, and you can go on and on and on about retaining information about addiction in general, but until you've actually experienced it. Well, actually, that's not true. I'll just say the most effective counseling that I've received, for the most part, that has to do just with my addiction, has been from somebody who's walked the walk. And because their words mean, I guess, I don't want to say they're more valid, but they're more real. There's more truth to it because, there has to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. And I'm trying to think of another stupid analogy, but I was going to do firefighters, because the Firefighter Association called today. Like, we're going to send you something in the mail. Will you pledge to send in $20? I'm like, nope. And it's not that I don't like firemen. It's just, I don't know. I don't just mail off people money. Why don't you mail me something? We should start doing that. Just start calling people with the phone book. We're going to mail you a letter. Will you mail it back to us? With some money in it for 217 recovery. But no, so anyway, back to my bad analogy. So, yeah, if you're going to if there's a fire, are you going to follow the doctor through, or are you going to follow the firefighter?
Right.
Firefighter. Because he's been through it before. And the doctor, bless his heart, he can save you if he doesn't die from smoke inhalation, but he can bring you out of it maybe, but the firefighter is the one he knows the way the flames are going, and he knows what's coming, and what to watch out for, I guess. That was a better analogy, I think, than the airplane builder guy. But yeah, it's important to talk to people and to get it off your chest, and just to have that conversation of, let me tell you where I'm coming from. And maybe they don't even want to hear it, and maybe don't word it that way. Let me tell you where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But just say, look, this is the struggle, and this is real, and have a serious heart-to-heart with them. And, you can't make them understand, and they don't have to understand.
No. No, that's exactly it.
But you being the person...
They'll try to. They will. They will try to. A lot of family members and things, they will try to understand where you're coming from, but they never will truly know. And that's when, I'm saying, I had a substance abuse counselor in 2007, and it was this. She was probably maybe in her 60s. She was an older lady, and she was a substance abuse counselor. She was married to an alcoholic that was in recovery for a long-term recovery. I think he'd been sober for 24 years or something. But and she would nod her head and be like, she would find ways, roundabout ways of basically saying, I understand how you're feeling. And I'm looking at her like, do you? Do you understand how I'm feeling? Do you? Because I don't think you do. Because I'm trying to explain something, and I'm looking at you, and I'm sitting here, and I was, younger, and I'm just like, this lady doesn't have a clue of what I'm trying to actually relate, the magnitude of the obsession, and, so that didn't work out very well. But, I mean... in terms of being able to actually, get your feelings out, oh, heck yeah. I mean, I think anything is better than holding it in, for sure. So I'm not discounting, the time that I had spent with her, but it wasn't as effective as I had hoped.
I've been through that many times, and that's when I started going to therapy, I thought, after I hit 3 or 4 of those in a row, therapist doesn't work for me. Therapy doesn't work for me. These people aren't listening. And then you find the one that does. And then whoa, what a world of difference that makes. And if you can trust somebody enough to just open up to them, then that's what you're wanting to do. At least for my experience, it made a world of difference. There were times where I would try to reach out to family members and try to explain myself, and I thought I was doing good, by explaining myself, but it was like talking to a wall sometimes, and it's not their fault, as much as at that time in my addiction and fighting, trying to be in recovery and going back to addiction, they don't understand that, and it's not their job to. It's up to us to realize, hey, look, well, we tried to talk to them about it. They don't get it, and that's fine. Let me talk to somebody else, because clearly that's not the person that we need to be talking to. Like, to get them to understand, that is a battle that will just drive you nuts. You can't make other people understand. And that's why I said your therapist, it could be a friend. I mean, maybe not a therapist that you're going to now. Maybe it's somebody else. I mean, as long as I was able to make that connection with somebody who I trusted, and I could just get it off my chest, and it was good. And then it turned into this microphone, which was kind of good too. And this is very good therapy. And sitting around with Rob and Matt at first, and then the other guys and Chris, and watching Chris grow kind of helped me, because I could see exactly where I was in him. And it's so funny that people used to say that we would go to like AA meetings, and they would be like, oh, well, this and that. And I'm like, eh. And then, flip the script, and there's Chris going through the same things, having the same problems with the same frustrations. And I'm like, I was right there, bro. Like, I remember that. And it was nice to kind of see the progress in yourself, because it's hard when you're living every day, day to day, and boom, boom, didn't drink again. Boom, boom, didn't drink again. Boom, boom, didn't drink again. And yeah, the days add up, and you think, well, okay, did I really grow? I don't know. And then you're reminded quickly of where you were. Mm-hmm. And, people in the AA meetings would tell us that too. They're like, oh, yeah, you'll see. And that was where you were at before. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But no, they were right.
Oh, you're telling my story.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But I feel better.
Yeah.
I do.
That's good.
Well, happy 4th of July. Read the blogs. I know there's a couple Facebook messages, things that we posted going around that are pretty cool. Check those out. If you're on Facebook, make sure to like us. However you're listening, subscribe to us. That way we go up in the standings or something. I don't know. Or when we do new shows and we publish them, then you know exactly when that happens. But like us, and you can sign up to be a member of our website too, and you can subscribe to that at 217recovery.com. But yeah, really appreciate it, and share it with your friends. And if you're having that talk with somebody, they're not getting it, really, it's not their job to, but it's good that you keep finding that person that will listen and will understand. And there's real problems out there, and real people go through them. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm telling you, if you're thinking about recovery, or maybe if you're in recovery, you already know what I'm talking about. It is so much better. Life is so much better. And it just keeps getting better. Like, I'm amazed, and I'm kind of afraid to go back and listen to like podcasts from a year ago, because I'm like, going to be shaking my head going, oh, Corey, what are you doing? But yeah, thanks for listening. And if you want to go listen to the rest of the podcast, there's a bunch of them. You got 185 hours of podcasts you can listen to. So that'll take a couple days. So yeah. Anyway, appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.